As creators, there are so many things that we have to learn to be successful in this industry, from managing our content and our audience to our personal life and mental health. In Coached, a sub-series of Soulcial Scoop podcasts by Soulcialmate, we work one-on-one with a member of our private creator coaching community, the Soulcial Suite, and you get to be a fly on the wall during our call. I'm Kristen Bousquet, and I've been a full-time creator for over 3 years, and I've brought in over $350,000 from sponsored posts and content creation collaborations with brands so far. Soulcial Scoop is the podcast where we teach you, the entrepreneurial creator, to turn your online influence into a profitable, self-sustaining business. Let's dive right in. Hello, my friends, and welcome to Soulcial Scoop Podcast. My name is Kristen Bousquet, and as always, I'm so excited that you're here. Today, you are listening to Coached, which is a series where you get to be a fly on the wall during a one-on-one coaching call with a member of our private creator community, the Soulcial Suite. Today, we are here with Arabella Overton. She is a creator who shares content about married life, things to do, and style. If you're interested in getting your free one-on-one podcast coaching call, you can become a member of our private creator community, the Soulcial Suite. Without further ado, let's dive right into it. Bella, I'm so excited that you're here.
Hi, Kristen. I'm excited to be here.
So for anyone who doesn't know about you and your page yet, can you give us kind of like a little rundown of who you are and what you do?
Sure. So my name is Arabella. I have been on Instagram since forever. I've had an account as an influencer for since 2016, 2017, really when static images and really beautiful curated content was all the rage. And so I would really say that my content falls into the inspirational realm. First, I started off with, photography, but now I love to do vlogs, share about married life, and just things that make me happy and just making my everyday just beautiful and romantic. I love it. That's kind of what I do.
I love that. Yeah, I feel like we all need to have the normalcy of our everyday lives romanticized a little bit,
Yes.
or else it starts to feel very mundane. So I love that you do that.
Yes, that's what I love doing.
So there were a few things that you wanted to kind of go through, and they actually all really feel like they kind of mesh together really well. So we'll kind of just start off at the top. You had mentioned to me that you feel like your posts aren't performing as well as you would like them to because you haven't niched down enough, but you're kind of unsure on how to pick one lane to stay in. So tell us a little bit more about kind of how you're feeling there.
Sure. I guess as I mentioned earlier, I've been on Instagram for a while, and this was before Reels, before TikTok. I saw a lot of growth in my account. When I think I had a knack for creating very visually inspiring, professionally shot, really uniquely edited images. And since 2020, 2021, when Reels were really being pushed, I just feel like I've struggled to take that inspirational kind of I'm kind of having a brain fart.
like professional, high quality, aspirational photography almost.
So I've struggled to kind of transfer that over to Reels. I mean, there's so many different types of things that I like to do. I love married life. I love traveling. I love style, but I wouldn't say I'm a fashion blogger. There's just so many different areas of interest that I have. And so I feel like I just struggle trying to think, okay, what is the one hyper specific niche or the three perfect niches that overlap perfectly? And I feel like, I don't know, my interests ebb and flow with time too. I'm married now, but I wasn't 2 years ago. So that's a new content pillar that I'm introducing. And so I just feel like with the history of my account and all the different interests that I've had over the last couple of years and, how I'm changing as a person, the last, I don't know, maybe 6 months, I've really liked making vlogs. I didn't start my page out by making vlogs. So I just feel like I've just had so many different nuances and so many different interests that I just feel like I'm an older account and I'm not super niche down enough to really grow and get, better engagement and a really engaged community. just because
Yeah.
of, I feel like I'm just not specific enough.
Okay, that makes sense. So, I mean, the first thing I want to do is kind of like walk you through this mission statement exercise. And I can't remember, we might have actually gone through this like a while back,
I think we
but
did.
I want to walk you through it again. I think, I mean, even for myself, like I feel like I have to do this fairly often because again, like we're always changing. My account definitely didn't start anything like what it is today. So, like that makes sense that you are changing as a person. And so you're going to be changing in the type of content that you want to create that is relevant to you as time goes on, as you grow. So let's kind of like go back to the basics and like make this very like simple and try not to overcomplicate it and then see where we end up. So my first question for you with these topics that you have, so we have like married life and then things to do, where I know within that, just from watching your content, there's like travel, maybe like food or, kind of a little bit of lifestyle, I guess, and then style or fashion. So with each of those topics, let's kind of break them down a little bit more. So married life, focusing only on married life, what is the reason that you want to share that content?
I would say the reason that I like to share it is because
This is hard.
it's hard. It is. The reason that I love to share it is because it's one of the things I'm most passionate about.
Okay.
I
What do you
got
want
married.
people to get out of it?
I think just I think it kind of fosters like almost like an inspirational like look at married life. So it's kind
Okay.
of, I'm sorry,
So
I'm
like
having
you
a little.
want people, no, it's okay. It's okay. So like you want people to be almost like inspired by what they're seeing. So like you want them to see it as a source of inspiration.
Yeah, because I wouldn't say that I veer into like, there's a lot of like married life humor accounts out there. And I'm not that.
Yeah.
I'm more of like, okay, here's the big milestones that we're celebrating. Here's us just doing everyday life together. It's just
Okay.
normalizing being married in your 20s.
So
And
normalizing, that's another like keyword
mhm,
there.
yeah, like I would say like
So
normalizing and inspiring.
okay. And what about I guess like maybe this falls under like normalizing, but almost this like kind of sense of maybe like relatability.
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so like those three things, like you want that content to inspire people, to, normalize maybe like hard things that you talk about, or normalize things that all couples might be going through, and then also have this aspect of relatability where like we're doing it too, like you can do it, or maybe like this is something that a little thing that maybe you talk about that you do with your husband that like other people might be like, wow, oh my god, I didn't know anyone else did this, like that
Hmm.
idea that you're making content that shows parts of a relationship that might be relatable. Does that sound like pretty accurate?
Yeah, definitely. And I guess something that I didn't mention as much, I got married when I was 22, which is younger than, I don't know, I feel like
Yeah.
people in my generation tend to get married. So I think part of that normalizing married life also is like normalizing being married, in your 20s as
Younger.
a younger married couples,
Okay.
and how that's a good thing.
Yeah, okay. I love that. All right,
Hmm.
so let's put that one aside. Now, how about this? Let's hop to style. I think it will be like a little bit easier. So focusing solely on style and fashion. So what is your kind of like objective with sharing this content? Like we know you love style. You could just love style, right? But like why are you sharing it with the world?
Yeah, I think this is also a little difficult too because, as I said, I wouldn't say I'm a style creator or a fashion creator, just because it's not like I'm posting like fashion deals or fashion
Mhm.
hauls or a ton of try-ons. I mean, I do, like here's my thrifting haul try-on.
Yeah.
Um, but I think it's more like here and there because it's just kind of like overall inspirational home fashion style. It's like a stylish lifestyle, which I know the word lifestyle is very vague.
Okay.
But I think that's a better description because I wouldn't say I'm a fashion, like, is a pillar
Okay.
of mine. It's more like
So, I mean,
inspirational style.
yeah, no, and that makes total sense. So, I mean, thinking about what you just said, like how that's not really something that is a huge focus for you, like it's more like sprinkled here and there. So, would we even really consider style a content pillar of yours? You know, like if it's not something that you're super consistent with, like maybe it could fall under something else that you are consistent with?
Yeah, I feel like it's not a pillar. It's more so an element that's weaved into every type of content that I put out there. Like, even if
Okay.
I'm creating something about a travel day that we had, or it's a date night that we had,
Okay.
it's going to be, very aesthetic. And
Okay.
I'm going to be wearing a nice, stylish outfit that's, current with
Right.
the times and all that. But and, occasionally I will be like, hey, try on this or style this piece with me.
Yeah.
Usually more in a talking format, just because I found that that's, I think, a little bit more
Like
authentic and
sustainable for you.
unique.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, but I still suppose like why I create everything stylish and aesthetic is I keep using this word, but it's all very inspirational and
Okay.
like kind of romanticizing my day to day. Is that
Right. Okay.
clear?
Yeah. Nope. Totally makes sense. So I'm gonna let's put style aside for a second
Hmm.
because I think you make a good point when you say that like style really is like weaved into all like a lot of the other things. Like I even think about myself, maybe like a year and a half ago, like I would almost solely talk about social media and business, but I always had like a post where I had like a cool outfit on, so like I wouldn't ever necessarily consider myself like a fashion creator at that point. I was definitely more of like, talking about social media and business, but fashion was something that was like a common theme, I guess, within my content. And same with you. I feel like it could be something that, yes, maybe people want to see the married life and the lifestyle content, but maybe they're also just watching your content because they like what you wear. And
Hmm.
so I think it's let's shelf it for a second. We'll come back to it, but I like that way of looking at it versus style being like its own content pillar where when you're sitting down to plan content every week, you're like, okay, I need to make a fashion video. Because I
Hmm.
don't think that's exactly like what you're doing, or like what your
Hmm.
goal is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So thinking about this kind of like other like almost like big kind of like topic here. You said like things to do. So tell me like what this consists of.
Yeah. So I don't think I mentioned this earlier, but I'm from Indianapolis, born and raised. And I love, love, love being downtown. I love being in the center of it all. I love, finding all the new spots, going to the thrifting shops, the
Yeah.
coffee shops, all of that. I very much want to be where it's happening. And so over the length of my account, I will periodically share you like, try this new coffee shop, or you guys have to check out
Mhm.
this new thrift shop in town, or just geotagging where I'm at. Sometimes it's just geotagging.
Yeah.
Sometimes people ask me for recommendations, like, okay, of the restaurants downtown, like, what's your favorite? Um, I There are accounts in Indianapolis, however, that are very, very specific, and they really do a good
Yeah.
job at like local recommendations. And so something that I'm like, okay, well, I am an Indianapolis creator. It's in my bio. I do go to a lot of local places. I put a lot of that stuff on my stories, or I'll make vlogs when I'm out. But part of me was like, I also love traveling, and I love, doing things at home too. So like maybe instead of just
Yeah.
like indie recommendations, I'm like, okay, what if I just do like overall things to do? Or even more broadly, I could just say vlogs. I really think like vlogging is a very
Mhm.
sustainable type of content for me, because it could be like day in my life, or,
Yeah, like
get ready with
it
me, or
just
date
is
night with
what it
us.
is. Like you don't have
Hmm.
to it's not like really a big production. You're just kind of going along with what you're already doing.
Yeah. So that's why, kind of like things to do slash vlogging. I'm not sure whether I should categorize it as either one of those, but I think the reason I share that is because people are always wanting ideas for what to do, or they're
Yeah.
wanting affirmation in their day to day life by like, maybe I post a non-aesthetic day in my life vlog. And like,
Yeah.
that's something relatable for them. Or yeah, I feel like people just like being a fly on the wall in other people's lives. They like seeing what they're doing. And so that's why that's one of my favorite types of content to make, and some of the most sustainable for me. And I also feel like that's kind of booming right now too. There's a lot of those like vlog or day in the life, but I feel like you still kind of need to be somewhat niche down even within that.
Right. Yeah, I think with vlogs, like the way I look at it is like people are going to watch a vlog because they like you and are interested in you. It's not necessarily that they're like coming for some specific like they're not coming to you like they are for me for social media tips. You know what I mean? Like people are coming to me for that value, whereas maybe people with vlogs, they might be coming to them specifically because they just want to like hang out with that person, right?
Yeah.
So kind of like almost two different things here. And I think a lot of your content does fall under this more like vlog style, or like let's say personality driven content versus value driven content.
Yeah.
Where again, like you're not giving like, here's 5 tips on, like being married in your 20s. Like maybe you are, but in that video, it's much more of like a personality driven piece of valuable content. So I think we could first of all categorize you as someone, and if maybe you're in between right now, but it sounds to me like you want to be more in that, like you want people to come to you just to hang out with you, see what it's like married life, see where you're shopping, see where you're, going downtown, like hang out with you is kind of like the overall like kind of theme on what you're looking to do, or like your like purpose, I guess, behind it all. But the thing is with this, and this is why having a niche that is value driven is much easier, because if someone wants the value, they follow you and they get the value. If you are more of this personality driven type of content creator, now you have to talk people into getting to know you. Once they get to know you, you want them to love you, and then you want them to hang out with you every day or however often you're posting. And so that's a little bit more difficult to get to, right? Because you have to spend time letting them get to know you, whereas someone with value-driven content just shares a good tip and they're like, sick, I'm in.
Yeah.
So I guess this actually kind of, I know we're jumping around a lot, but I think it will be helpful. So this actually brings me to like another question that I had here for you. Like how much time do you spend like getting to know your audience, or like connecting with your audience, letting people in on your life? Like, do you feel like that's something you could do more of, or do you feel like you're doing a lot of it already?
I feel like I'm doing a pretty decent amount. This last month or so, I've been a little conflicted just because, I guess for some history, I spent the last 6 months of 2022 as a full-time content creator. I was like super revved up after graduating college in 2022. And I was like, okay, I've been doing this for years. Like, let's just do it full time. Boom, it'll be great. And I spent a lot of time, interacting with people. Every time I post, I'm interacting with people, responding to comments and DMs for like 30 minutes probably. I try to share as much of my life on my stories as I can. I try to speak on my videos so that it's more relatable and more authentic. I feel like I do a decent amount of that, but the last month I've been like, I don't really feel like I'm building a super engaged community. I don't really feel like my account is growing, or my like videos are doing better. My reels or posts are doing better in engagement. So I'm like, feel like, okay, is this worth it? Like, am I feel like putting more time into doing those things isn't necessarily yielding results. And so it kind of has left me like,
to keep doing.
Yeah, this last month or so, I've been trying to either find like freelancing or full-time social media positions outside of like my own personal brand. And so I've had like this little internal conflict of like, okay, well, I've put this time in, I've been trying to grow this audience. Like, I have an audience, but I've been trying to make it like really, really tight knit and growing. And I've just been like, So I feel like I have had a little bit of a conflict there. But I do
Yeah.
think I still spend a pretty decent amount of time,
Okay.
Like I don't post and ghost. I
Right.
talk a lot of very open. I think I mean, it's not like I couldn't be any better. I could always share more. I could always,
Right.
post more. Um, but I think I'm
So,
doing a decent job of that.
okay. Okay, so that's good. That's definitely like a good start, especially again if we're going to go down this avenue of like more personality driven content. So, as homework, I would go through onto TikTok, onto Reels, whatever it is, and I want you to find like who are the creators that you love watching who maybe are really similar to you where they talk about a lot of different things, but you just like love going to their page, right? Like and try and analyze a little bit more like what exactly is it that is making you want to go there and hang out. Like I think of this creator that I watch. Her name is Brittany. I don't remember her exact handle, but she talks about fitness. She talks about clothing. She talks about a million different things. She's a student, so she talks about that. And I just love watching her content because every single one of her voiceovers is like it sounds like she's on the phone with me being like, oh my God, girl, so this is what happened. You are not going to believe it. Like she's talking to me like I am her best friend. And so it makes me feel so much more she's really my friend. And like, I want to be there because I want to hang out with my friend. And I think that's one of the hardest things to do because I know, and I know you know from being a creator for so long is that, in the last however many years that we've been doing this, we've been conditioned to create this beautiful content, have a perfect voiceover, not like skip over our words or say something wrong because we want it to like be beautiful and perfect, right? But I think with this personality driven content, you have to be like 100,000% authentically, transparently yourself. And it is so, so, so hard to do. And I think that's why this personality driven content is very difficult to like, it's difficult to gain a following unless you are like, you're in there. Like you are 100% committed to like, I'm just going to let it all out there and like let my freak flag fly and like it's out there. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think maybe it would be helpful for you to go back on maybe skip last month because I know last month was like weird for you. Go back previous to that and watch your videos and then watch the videos of those people again that you go through and you're like, I love hanging out with this person. And like, is there a disconnect there? Like, do you notice that like, wow, like maybe something I do like could be a little bit more like showing my personality. Like, and again, like I know you from the internet, but like I don't know you in real life. And so it's hard for even me to say like you're doing it perfect or you could be doing it differently, So I think
Mm-hmm.
only you and maybe the people close to you even like get some of your friends involved, get your husband involved and say like, you know me, like, is this voiceover like 100% me? Does this feel like I could, loosen up a little bit or like be more, like funny if I'm super funny in real life or whatever it is. And maybe that will kind of like open you up to like things you could change because when
Mm-hmm.
when we get into like your next kind of question here of you're having this lack of growth, you're having engagement that you wish was higher. I think those problems would be solved by you again like figuring out like exactly who you are on the internet basically,
Mm-hmm.
like because again when you if you can look at your content and say I literally could not be more myself in this video, then I think at that point, then there's other questions maybe we need to talk about. But I think that's a good starting point to look at because if you can make small changes there, then I think people will start to feel again closer to you. They'll start to feel more like an actual friend, like we're hanging out. And then that's when that growth automatically comes. And that's when that engagement kind of automatically comes. So I feel like that kind of like first piece of like again how you're presenting yourself, taking a hard look at that maybe will be the thing that can help you kind of get over this like little slump that maybe you feel like you're in.
Mm-hmm.
How does that feel for you?
Hmm. Yeah, I think something that has been on my brain over honestly like the last like year or two is just like trying to be like, okay, I've got all these interests. Like, what content pillars should I focus on?
Yeah.
And I mean, it makes sense that what you're saying, like, it's more of like a personality driven page. And
Yeah.
also, I think like an aesthetic and lifestyle driven page. Like, that makes sense since I have so many different things. And I have noticed that sometimes when I try to do something that's like still something that I talk about, like maybe I'm like top 10 places to go in Indy, like, or maybe I
Yeah.
just do like a little, like, I don't know, trendy little video of me like walking around somewhere pretty. Like, they don't usually perform as well because it's not as
In the
engaging.
moment
It's
or
not as
like,
yeah,
yeah.
it's not showing off my personality. Like, I'm not showing my face, so you're not hearing my voice. Those
Right.
things definitely do perform better. And I guess instead of like thinking solely about, okay, what are my content pillars, I can shift towards thinking, am I being authentically
Yes.
myself? Am I delivering, like, does it feel like, I call it the FaceTime effect. And that's what I've been
Yes.
trying
Yeah.
to incorporate in my videos, is talking to someone just like I'm talking to you, or
Right.
talking to someone like I would, call up my sister and chat with her, or my friend.
Exactly.
Um, and
Yeah,
so
I feel
perhaps
like
doing more of
when
that.
you have this like personality driven, when vlogs are your thing, like you don't really have to worry so much about like, is this my exact content pillar? Because again, like we're not maybe there for the content pillars, like we're there to hang out with you. So I almost feel like that's the better route for you to go down, because then you won't feel so like, I know from working with you that this like mission statement and content pillars thing is something that you're looking at a lot. And so I feel like it would be way less of like a roadblock for you if you were to just not really have to worry about it. You know, like if
Mm-hmm.
you could say, all right, I'm going into downtown Indy today, like I'm going to do a come hang out in Indy with me video. Like that would be so easy for you. You would feel like so free to do whatever, like if you stumble upon like this cool restaurant, like okay, maybe then you can just share the restaurant. And instead of you saying, oh, well, I don't really talk about restaurants, and then feeling like you can't post that, it would be so much more, again, like authentically you and authentically in the moment, and have that FaceTime effect if it were what's actually just happening and you didn't feel so boxed in by like the perfect niche and the perfect content pillars.
Yeah.
So I feel like that might be like more sustainable for you and mentally like less of a challenge to try and fit your content into these perfect little boxes when there are multiple different things that you want to talk about.
Yeah. And I suppose, like, it is a little scary just because I do know that that type of, I mean, you could very broadly categorize it as lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I know that that is much harder to, I feel like, diversify your income, and you have to, as you said, you have to be very unapologetically yourself. And it's very much like a personal brand, like it very much hinges on
Yeah.
you. And I think that is a little scary because I know that that's something that I've been struggling with, is like getting I don't know, getting recurring partnerships or keeping
Mm-hmm.
past partners. And so, I mean, I guess like I just have to, I mean, there's a lot of opportunities for sponsored content if you're doing
100%.
something like that. I don't know if it would have, like, I'm curious what you think about other avenues for income with being
So,
more of like a
okay.
personality.
So you're basically saying like, how if you are a creator who doesn't have like a very specific niche, how can you diversify your income other than just sponsorships? Is that kind of like what you mean?
Because it's like, how could I offer like
Yeah.
a
You can't
course
make like an
or like,
ebook. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Exactly.
yeah.
Well, I mean, I think, and this is something, it's funny that we're having this conversation because I just got off a call before this with someone who is going to be doing a podcast episode with us all about like these like non-traditional forms of income for creators. So I think first of all, it's important to like open your mind to all of the crazy things that are out there in terms of the ways we can diversify our income. Like first thing we always think of is yes, courses, ebooks, because like they're the obvious answer. You know, like we can all do them. We can all put them together. If you have a specific topic you've grown your audience on, it's like perfect. They're going to love it. Like it's easy. But there are so many other things. Like, again, if you are someone who people like hanging out with you, if they like your personality, how can we give them more of your personality? Maybe a podcast? You do a podcast, like, and find a way to monetize that. Maybe you start working with companies who want to be on the podcast and sponsor the podcast and ads or things like that. So maybe you could do something like that. Maybe you could go onto YouTube and start doing longer form vlogs where YouTube's ad revenue, especially as of February 1st, wild, absolutely wild. So you could make, put shorts up there. You could put long form video up there and have that be another source of income. You could also do like maybe like panels, things like that about being in your 20s and just general like women empowerment, or like talking about relationships, or talking about being a business owner in indie. Like there are so many different topics that you talk about. There's a lot of different expertise topics that you could be on a panel for. Like there's a lot of non-traditional things, but it's difficult to like sit down and figure them out.
Sure.
But just ask yourself, like, what are ways that I could give people more of my personality? How could people spend more time with me, whether it's in person or it's on the internet? Maybe you have, like a membership club or like a text club where, people can like come onto live calls with you every week, and you just get the girls together and like have a women community of just like women who want to make friends. Or again, like there could be so many different things. You just have to kind of try and ask yourself that question of like, how can I give people more of my personality, if that personality driven content is where we're going. Again,
Sure.
like the value-based content, that's another completely different avenue. So like, again, ebooks, courses, memberships, like I could still do all of the same things, YouTube, all of that kind of stuff. But just in a different capacity. Your objective is getting your personality out there more, so people can have more of your personality after they watch a 15 or 30-second video being like, oh, I love her. I just want to hang out with her more,
Yeah. And that's something that I feel like I've tossed up in my brain a lot, because on one hand, I know what type of content is natural and enjoyable. Like we've discussed, the vlogs, married life,
yes,
inspirational stuff. That's all very natural. But I also have a unique skill set and history. Like I would consider myself a social media expert, a content creation expert.
Right.
I mean, even being right out of college, like I have a lot more experience with these things. I have a lot of experience editing, creating content. I know a lot about, keeping in touch with social media and like trends and growth. So part of me is like, I feel like I almost need like a page for like my inspirational stuff. And then I almost like feel like I need like another page if I want to maybe explore, like being like a Instagram and TikTok growth strategist, or honestly, like a creator coach, like you are. Like, I feel like I know so much. So part of me is like, fun, inspirational, or value driven. And that's, I think, what I have the most value to provide is my social media expertise and my influencer marketing expertise. So I don't know if you think that, I mean, I know that you can monetize both, but I don't know if you think that like, is that too much to split yourself like that? Because that would allow me much more opportunities for income.
So let me give you my opinion. And this is really, either option that I'm going to give you will work. It's really up to you. I mean, yes, you're right. First option is you have 2 different pages. However, are you prepared to run 2 different pages and be consistent on both of them? Because it's a lot. Like I've tried it where we had a Soulcialmate page, and then I had my regular K-Boost page, and I would share more of like, again, like lifestyle. I'd show Andrew and then like more, whatever. And then I had Soulcialmate's page, which was like strictly social media. And it was like the most miserable time of my life for me personally, because it was just like a lot to do. And I found myself never being able to give the attention Soulcialmate's page needed, because I was too focused on my page, because that's where I was bringing in most of my income. So you can test it out, see how it goes. However, it is a big commitment, so like, is that something you want to take on? You got to think about that. The other thing here too is if you are to have your one page and you have your vlog style content is what you focus on, why can't you incorporate some of that social media expertise into your vlog style content? Why can't you do, like come write an email with me and then maybe you write your pitch email out and da da da. Like you can still give value, but it's just not like, hi, here's your pitch email. And then like it's not like a talking head video like what I do. Maybe it's like come along with me to go find the brands that I'm going to pitch to this week. Or, like maybe it's a day in the life as someone who's working in social media. And then you throughout on the voiceover, you give some tips or whatever it might be. But I think that there's a way that you could incorporate all of your expertise into this content. And I'm sure at this point, a lot of your audience is also other creators who do find it valuable when you share things about social media. So I think they would enjoy it as well, and it's such a huge part of your life, like if you're going to have a page that's vlog style content and really getting people to know who you are, how could you not include social media? It's really such a big part of who you are. So I like the second option better because I think it's more sustainable for you. And I think it's more authentic and natural because, again, it's such a big part of your life. But I think it would just take some experimenting to find ways that you could give that value that you want to give, but also have it be a really like chill, FaceTime kind of experience, I guess.
Yeah, that's interesting because like I've been racking that in my brain for like at least a year or longer. Like I feel like I have these two things that don't really go together, like either your personality or value. And maybe that's something I could think about because I feel like on one hand, I'm like, I just want a clean slate. Like I just want to just find a way to just, I mean, I feel like if you've got, you're like, I'm a content or like content creator coach, like it's easy, you know exactly who you're reaching. Like you can just boom, boom, boom. It's easy. But if you're personality driven, it's like, how do I incorporate those two things? Maybe I can do a little bit more brainstorming over.
You should, yeah.
Like maybe how I can incorporate that in my page. I just was hesitant because I'm like, I haven't posed myself as a social media expert, education based, and I don't want to throw that at an audience that's 6 or 7 years old at this point and completely wreck my engagement because it's not what they're coming to me for.
But they are coming to you for your personality, like if that's what you're trying to build is this relatable place where people get to know you, get to know your married life, get to know the places you're shopping at, get to know the places that you're going in indie. The point is that they're going to get connected with you, right? And so what would make this any different? They are maybe getting some tidbits on social media tips or content creator tips, cool, but they're also still getting you and your personality, which is ideally why they're coming, right? So I think there is a way to do it. I think it would take a lot of experimenting and, again, just like figuring out what works and what doesn't. But another thing, in looking back at what you said about the past month and kind of this like shift you've made and how you felt like almost discouraged, I guess, with how it's going. The other thing to think about too is like you have had your page for a really long time. Your audience is pretty established. And so they're going to take some time to like mold into this new style of content, so don't do this like new kind of experimenting with videos like once or twice and have, perform really horribly and then stop doing it. It's gonna take time for it to catch on. And throughout the process, you might realize that you lose some people, but then you gain more people who really love you and your personality and this style of content. So it's probably gonna be like an uphill battle, but I think it's important for you to go through that. And yes, it's going to suck and it's probably going to be really hard and discouraging. But when you get on the other side, I think you'll feel so much better because you'll be creating like what you really want to create. You won't feel so boxed in. You'll feel like it's very sustainable for you to create. And I feel like you'll finally get to that place of like, I'm good. I got this. Like I feel comfortable, like after all of this time of like mission statements and content pillars and like, what do I do and what formats, like, you just got to get through that kind of the hump of it probably not going very well for a little while and then give it some time to catch on. And if it does, then like, again, you're on the other side and great. If not, you kind of come back to the drawing board and say, okay, So maybe that didn't exactly work. Also, did I really enjoy doing that? And then you can kind of go through the same process that we're going through today, where maybe we try different things out and see what you like and see what maybe works, experiment with some other things, and then hopefully that works. It's a lot of trial and error at the end of the day.
Okay. Well, that's definitely some food for thought. Thank you, Kristen.
Yes, of course. So, okay, let's leave you here, and I want to have you back on in the next couple of months after we're able to go through this process and see how it went for you, and then we can kind of revisit and see what's going on. But how do you feel? A little bit better?
I think I feel a little bit better just because I need something that's sustainable for me, whether or not I'm working a 9 to 5. And if I'm trying to keep up on some highly produced, difficult type of content, if it's, maybe just a couple hours in the evening and over my lunch break, or, I need to be able to have something that's relatable, sustainable for me.
Yep.
So, it's good to have some other opinions too, because I always get so caught up in my head about it. But
it's so easy to look at it
on that.
There you go. Yeah, it's so easy to look at it only you're in it every day. So it's very difficult to see what everyone else sees, or get out of your head a little bit because you're so deep into it all the time. So it makes sense. It's very very normal that happens, and that happens to me all the time. So I definitely understand it.
Awesome. Well, thank
you. Well, thank you so much for being here. I hope you feel good. I hope you're feeling inspired. For everyone listening, I hope that you guys, if you're going through the same thing, are also feeling like you have some trial and error that you're going to go through. Again, if you guys are interested in getting your own free one-on-one podcast coaching call, you just have to become a member of the best private creator community ever, the Soulcial Suite. And we will see you guys next week.